Nina had always believed her life was simple and calm. She lived in a small town where mornings were quiet and evenings were slow and warm. She shared her home with her husband Ron, and for many years she thought they were happy together. They were not rich and they were not famous, but they had built a peaceful life with small joys like morning tea and evening talks. Nina trusted Ron deeply because he always told her that she was the only one he needed. She believed those words with her whole heart and never thought they could turn into something that would hurt her. Lately, though, something had changed. Ron was not the same man he used to be. He came home later every night, and when Nina asked him where he had been, he always said he was busy with work. His phone was always in his hand, and sometimes he smiled at messages he never shared. Nina felt a small ache in her heart when she saw that smile. It was not meant for her anymore. Still, she tried to stay calm and kind because she did not want to create trouble in their home. She told herself that all couples go through quiet times. One afternoon, Nina went out to buy food for dinner. The sky was clear and the street was busy with people going about their day. As she walked past a small restaurant, she suddenly stopped. A car parked outside looked just like Ron's car. At first she told herself it could belong to someone else, but something inside her pushed her to look again. When she saw the number on the plate, she knew it was his. Her heart began to beat fast and her hands started to shake. Ron had told her he was in a meeting far away, but his car was right there. Nina walked closer to the window of the restaurant. Through the glass she saw Ron sitting at a table with a young woman. They were laughing and talking softly. The woman leaned toward him and he leaned back with a smile that Nina had not seen in a long time. They looked close and comfortable, like two people sharing a secret world. Nina felt a sharp pain in her chest. She wanted to turn away, but her feet would not move. She watched as Ron touched the woman's hand gently. That simple touch told her more than any words ever could. For a moment Nina felt like she could not breathe. Her whole life with Ron passed through her mind like a long movie. All the days she waited for him at home and all the nights she made dinner for two. She realized how alone she had been even when he was beside her. The truth was now clear in front of her eyes and it hurt deeply. Still, Nina did not cry or make a loud scene. Something inside her became strong and steady. She walked into the restaurant slowly. Every step felt heavy, but she kept going. When Ron looked up and saw her, his face changed at once. The color left his skin and his eyes widened in shock. The young woman stopped smiling and looked confused. The table that once felt warm now felt cold and quiet. Nina stood beside them and looked at Ron. She did not need to speak his name. He knew she was his wife. The people around them kept eating and talking, but for Nina the world felt still. She took out a small envelope from her bag. It was something she had prepared after many nights of quiet thinking. Inside it was a message and something more that Ron was not ready to see. Nina placed the envelope on the table and told Ron to enjoy his meal and read what was inside. Her voice was calm but filled with meaning. Then she turned around and walked out. She did not look back. Her heart was breaking, but her steps were firm. Outside the restaurant, the air felt cool and fresh. Nina took a deep breath and started walking home. She felt pain, but also a strange feeling of freedom. For the first time, she was not waiting for Ron. She was walking for herself. Inside the restaurant, Ron slowly picked up the envelope. His hands were shaking. The young woman asked him what was happening, but he could not answer. He opened the envelope and saw a letter from Nina. The letter told him that she knew about the lies and the long nights away. It also told him that she had already taken steps to protect her future. The words felt heavy in his hands. When Ron got home that night, Nina was waiting in the living room. The house felt quiet and different. Ron tried to speak, but Nina gently stopped him. She told him that she had loved him and trusted him, but she could not live with lies anymore. She told him he had to leave. Ron looked shocked and lost. He had never seen Nina so calm and strong. Ron slowly packed some of his things and walked out of the house. The door closed softly behind him. Nina stood alone in the room. She felt sadness but also a quiet hope. She knew her life was changing, but she also knew she deserved respect and peace. As the night grew darker, Nina sat by the window and looked at the sky. Her heart was still hurting, but a small light of courage was now burning inside her. This was only the beginning of her new story. The morning after Ron left, the house felt very quiet and empty. Nina woke up early and for a moment she forgot what had happened the night before. Then the memory came back like a slow wave. The house felt different without his footsteps and without his voice. Nina sat on the bed and looked around. She felt a mix of pain and calm inside her heart. Even though she was hurt, she also felt free in a way she had never felt before. Nina made herself some tea and sat by the window. Outside, people were walking to work and children were going to school. Life was moving forward even though her own life had just changed. She knew she could not sit and cry all day. She had to be strong now. The letter she had given Ron was not just words. It was a sign that she had chosen herself after many years of being ignored. Ron, on the other hand, did not sleep well that night. He stayed at a small place near the edge of town. His mind was full of fear and regret. He kept reading Nina's letter again and again. The words felt heavy because they were true. He knew he had broken her trust. The young woman from the restaurant kept sending him messages, but he did not answer. For the first time he realized how much he had risked for something that now felt empty. Nina spent the day cleaning the house and putting things in order. It was not just about the rooms. It was about her life. She removed photos that reminded her of old happy days that no longer felt real. She kept only the things that made her feel calm. Every small action made her feel stronger. Later that afternoon, Nina received a message from Ron. He asked if they could talk. Nina read the message slowly. Her heart felt tight, but she did not feel weak. She replied that he could come in the evening. She wanted to hear what he had to say, but she was not going to let him change her mind easily. When Ron came to the house, he looked tired and lost. Nina stayed calm. They sat in the living room facing each other. Ron said he was sorry and that he had made a big mistake. He said he never meant to hurt her. Nina listened quietly. Then she told him that being sorry does not erase the pain. She told him that trust once broken is very hard to rebuild. Ron asked if there was any chance to fix things. Nina looked at him and said that she needed time and space. She was not ready to return to the way things were. She needed to find herself again. Ron nodded slowly. He could see that Nina was not the same woman he had left behind. After Ron left again, Nina felt tired but also proud. She had spoken her truth without fear. That night she slept better than she had in a long time. Over the next days, Nina started going out more. She visited old friends and spent time doing things she loved. She walked in the park and enjoyed the simple beauty around her. Slowly her heart began to heal. She still felt sad sometimes, but she also felt hopeful. Ron watched her from a distance. He saw how she was changing and becoming stronger. He realized that he had taken her kindness for granted. The young woman from the restaurant was no longer part of his thoughts. He understood that he had lost something very valuable. One evening, Nina stood by the window again and looked at the sky. She thought about her future. She did not know exactly what would happen, but she knew she would no longer accept being treated poorly. Her heart was learning to trust herself. Nina's journey was only beginning, and every step she took was leading her toward a life filled with respect and peace. Nina's life slowly began to take a new shape as the days passed. The house that once felt heavy now felt calm. The silence no longer scared her. It gave her space to breathe and think. Each morning she woke up feeling a little lighter. She still remembered Ron and the years they spent together, but the pain no longer felt sharp. It felt like something that had already happened and was now slowly fading. Nina started going out more. She walked in the park and visited the small shops in town. People smiled at her and she smiled back. Some of them knew about her situation, but they did not treat her with pity. They treated her with respect. That made her feel proud. She realized that she did not need to hide or feel ashamed of what had happened. It was not her fault. One afternoon, Nina sat at a small cafe near the park. She liked that place because it was quiet and warm. That was where she met Sam again. He was a simple man with kind eyes. He always spoke gently and never rushed his words. They talked about small things like the weather and the town and their favorite food. It felt easy to talk to him. There was no pressure, just calm conversation. Over time, Nina and Sam began meeting more often. They would walk in the park or sit at the cafe and talk. Sam never tried to learn about her past unless she wanted to share. That made Nina feel safe. Slowly she began telling him about her life. She spoke about her marriage and how it ended. Sam listened quietly and never judged. He only nodded and told her that she was strong. Nina felt something warm in her heart when she talked to Sam. It was not love yet, but it was trust. She had not felt that in a long time. Being with him reminded her that there were still good people in the world. Ron watched Nina from a distance. He saw her smile and laugh, and it made his chest feel tight. He knew he had lost something special. He wanted to go back, but he also knew that Nina was no longer the woman who would accept broken promises. She had changed and grown. Ron spent his days alone thinking about the past. He wished he had made different choices. He wrote more letters, but he did not send them. He knew Nina needed space. Nina, on the other hand, was learning to enjoy her freedom. She spent time doing things she loved. She read books and cooked new meals and enjoyed the simple joy of being alone without feeling lonely. Every day she felt a little more like herself. One evening Nina stood by the window and looked at the sky. The sunset was soft and beautiful. She felt thankful for how far she had come. Her heart was still healing, but she knew she was on the right path. Sam came to visit her that evening. They sat in the living room and talked quietly. Nina felt safe and calm. For the first time in a long time she felt hopeful about the future. Nina's journey was not over yet, but she was no longer afraid. She had learned that even after pain there can be light. Nina woke up early one morning and felt something new inside her heart. It was not sadness and it was not fear. It was a quiet feeling of hope. She sat by the window and watched the sun rise slowly over the town. The light filled the room and made everything look warm. It felt like a new beginning. Life had changed so much since the day she walked into that restaurant. She remembered the pain and shock she felt, but she also remembered how strong she had become. She was no longer the woman who waited in silence. She was a woman who chose herself. Nina went to the park later that day. The trees were green and people were enjoying the fresh air. She sat on a bench and smiled as she watched children play. The world felt open again. She felt calm in a way she had not felt for a long time. Sam joined her at the park. He sat beside her and they talked quietly. Nina felt comfortable with him. There was no rush and no pressure. Just two people sharing a peaceful moment. Sam told her that he admired her strength. Nina smiled and thanked him. She knew her heart was slowly opening again. Ron was also in the town that day. He saw Nina and Sam from a distance. It was hard for him, but he understood that Nina had moved forward. He felt a mix of sadness and respect. He knew he had lost his place in her life. Later that evening Ron wrote Nina one last letter. He thanked her for the years they shared and wished her happiness. He did not ask for anything. He only wanted her to know that he respected her choices. Nina received the letter and read it calmly. She felt no anger, only peace. She placed the letter away and smiled softly. Her heart was free now. Nina continued to live her life with kindness and courage. She worked and laughed and enjoyed the simple beauty of each day. Sam became an important part of her life. They spent time together and shared quiet joy. One evening Nina stood by the window again and looked at the sky. The stars were bright. She felt grateful for everything she had learned. Even pain had taught her how strong she was. Nina knew her future would be filled with new moments and new happiness. Her story did not end with loss. It began with self-respect and hope. The end of one chapter had become the start of a beautiful new one.